How's it going, everyone? It is Wednesday, April 17th, and this is the video for today. So let's go over the picks from the last video. I mentioned first a Coupang CDS, the 220.5 to 22. I can't even speak today. The 2250, 2350 CDS expiring this week for a 37 cents debit. That's what I got in for. So I took the trade somewhere around here. You can see that Coupang has pulled back, and now it is starting to surge higher and challenge this level. This could be a potential level of resistance. We're going to take a look over here, but I am not too worried about the position right now because I know that we are in a very, very strong stock. It has been moving up higher on heavy volume while the market has been moving down and it has been moving sideways. So Coupang has been very strong, and we have today, tomorrow, and Friday for this trade to profit. The 2350 will be right around this high plus trend line, coming all the way back very long time, all the way back to February 2nd, 2023. I'm not putting a lot of credence into this high plus trend line. I like to have it more as a channel. I think those high plus trend lines have more validity, in my opinion. But because we are in a shorter term trade, because we don't have a lot of market tailwind, this could be a chance for the stock to pause, and that is where we may want to take some profits. The other pick I talked about was a match short on yesterday, and this trade never quite set up. I mentioned that yesterday we had a range-bound day in the market, and the only way we could really take match is if we get some, well, one, if we maintain the range-bound day, we want match to break this low and actually close below it. Oh, there's UAL. I'm in that long right now. So we poked through over here. So I got the alert at 130, and this stock, again, it was a long red candle, and then at the end, buyers came back and gobbled it back up. I don't really look at the M1 chart at all, but I think this could be a potential here. Here is the 130 candle. We poked below this level for a minute, and then we pushed it back up. And then here is our engulfing candle. Here is our bullish hammer, actually. So match was a no trade. You can see it never quite got below the level. It is still bearish on the daily chart, but as a day trade, we did not get the setup that we wanted. So Coupang is still open, and match is a no trade. Let's talk about the market. Fundamentally, still a 2 bullish. Nothing's changing. I'm not going to talk about any more things over here because I've kind of talked about that a lot in the past couple of videos. When we get some new information, I'm going to talk about that more. Technically, what's going on in the market? Well, pulling back after a long rally. That is the story. And if you're unsure, just zoom out again, take a look at the weekly chart. That is a pullback. We are gauging the strength of the pullback. We're gauging how fast it happens, how deep we retrace, and how long we retrace. That will tell us if we are going to get a strong bounce or a weak bounce. If we have a weak pullback, it's much more likely we get a stronger bounce. We can take advantage with some more put credit spreads and some more in the money calls, some more aggressive CDSs. If we have a much deeper pullback, lasts a lot longer, we get maybe to the 100 SMA, then we might not expect as strong of a move because sellers were in control far longer than we had expected for them to be in control. So long-term market bias, I am a 1 bullish right now, just because we are in this pullback phase. When we find support and start to move higher, then I might shift more to a 2 bullish, but I need to see that move up higher. I need to gauge this support. If it's a very deep retracement, I might be a little bit more neutral versus being more slightly bullish. So, shorter term, what's been going on in the market? Let's zoom in a little bit. On the H1 chart, I talked about this selling climax that happened over here. We also could be forming a new range, so we're going to keep an eye out on that. Again, I'm not putting a lot of credence into this, but I do like zooming in and seeing what's going on, getting an idea of the price action. On the M15 chart, we have been moving down steadily. This was a pretty big bearish trend day on the 15th where we broke through the 200 SMA, and now we've just been chopping around. We've just been moving sideways. And this compression is going to tell us a lot, or I guess give us a lot of clues as to what really might happen next. So before we usually go from bullish to bearish, there is some period, or even bearish to bullish, there's some period of compression where the selling pressure is matched equally with the buying pressure. And that's what we're seeing happening. Buyers and sellers are paired off. That's why we're moving sideways and we're chopping around at this level. The more we hold this level, the longer we hold this level, I think that could have more bullish implications because we've dropped a lot, and we've had a very strong trend. So this strong trend is the key. If we had a very weak trend coming into this level, a longer term weak trend, and we were just holding at this level, then that would be more bearish because we know that bears have longer term control and the market is unable to get off the deck. Because we know that there are long-term buyers waiting to scoop the market up at a very favorable price, the longer we compress here, the longer we hold this level, asset managers are going to buy and buy and buy and buy. Anyone who was originally short here, buy and sell programs who were short during the day, they are going to start to pivot. So on the shorter term right now, I am a little bit more neutral and maybe slightly bearish. I'd say I'm a -1. And I'm on the lookout for a couple of things on the shorter term bias. First is this range. What happens over here? We're going to break out of this one way or another. Which way are we going to break out? That's the first question. The second question is, where is support going to be on the chart? We have a couple of levels that I've marked. The first one is this level, this 52 or 502.50 seems to be level somewhere around here, right? There's some support at this level. We have major resistance at 500, right? That is a pretty hard floor. It's a psychological level. Then we have the gap fill right here, which is at 497. And then we have the 100 SMA, which is now, again, it's climbing up, right? And I think an important thing to keep in mind is how are the SMAs sloping? Because we're sloping up, it's going to kind of flatten out a little bit here because the market's been going down. But by the time the market gets to this could be at 493. So it's going up. So the 100 SMA is the biggest level here. And the most bearish scenario is like we crack down through it with red candles, which I don't foresee happening. There would have to be something majorly different in the macroeconomic environment. So that's what we're looking at here. We're in this range. Where are we going to break? Where is support going to be? And what is this bounce going to look like? When will this bounce happen? We don't really know the when question, but we know that it will happen in some point in time. So let's look at the current day price action. Let's gauge what we are seeing here. And I'm going to make this wider just so we can have a much more clear picture of what's happening here. So we are in this range, and I'm going to draw the bottom of this range right here. You can see that we're very clearly on the bottom, and I'm going to draw the top here just on a horizontal line so we can get a sense of that. Okay, let's draw it here. Okay. We are in this horizontal range. We're chopping around. So that's why my shorter term market bias is a -1. My intraday bias, what happened today? Well, we're still in the range. We had a small gap up, but I don't put a lot of value into it because it's very tiny and we didn't break out of the range. The range is going to supersede this gap up. We fill in the gap very quickly, so whatever. And the move down is pretty low volume, pretty mixed candles, pretty choppy. And we get this long red candle. So you don't freak out on these long red candles because one, we're probing the support at the bottom of the range. Even if we break out of that range for a second, I would actually expect a snapback move because this would probably just trigger some sell stops. We would really have to get some escape velocity out of the range for me to consider being more bearish. Zooming in on some of the components of the market. Utilities, mats, finance, comms were on the stronger side today. Discretionary and tech were pretty weak. Mega cap tech was slightly weak. There's some pockets of strength. I think Google has been looking very, very good. And RSP was lower than the market. So let's maybe we'll have a comparison of RSP right here. Actually, it's not doing okay, or not doing terrible, I should say. But it has been taking some heat. It's actually at its 100-day SMA, so there's a lot of breadth in this market selling so far compared to the tech stocks, which have been doing a little bit better. They've been faring a little bit stronger, so that has been holding up in the market over here. I also had a lot more stocks on heavy buy than heavy sell. Let's see if that's still holding true right now. Yeah, I got 12 over here on heavy buy. Yeah, there's a little bit more on heavy sell, but it was pretty lopsided earlier this morning. There's Abbott and Crocs. A couple of things are moving around here. So market components, I'd say kind of neutral. They're not really leading too strong one way or the other. Flight to safety assets were a little bit stronger today. VIX was on the lower side. We're in this range. We're not having a lot of volatility, so it is dropping. What happened yesterday? What's kind of the clues this morning? Well, with a small gap up, like we said, we filled it over. The prior day action was some low range chop. And the first hour of price action was certainly bearish. So this is the first hour. And we had this bullish cross, which is not producing. So we are getting a little bit more of a bearish scenario here. We're testing the bottom end of the range. And we have this bearish divergence on this bullish cycle. So I outlined a couple scenarios in the morning. The first scenario is that we have a range-bound day and we maintain both the ranges and we continue to chop around. It is likely because we had it again and there hasn't been a lot going on over here. So that's one possible scenario. The other scenario is that we get a breakout on one side or the other. So the ideal scenario for me would be a bullish trend day, which I don't think is as likely today. It would have to be pretty late in the day for that to happen. But what I'd want to see is that we get this bear cycle. It produced fill the gap. Okay, that's fine. On this bullish cycle, we're actually able to blow through the high of the day with some nice green candles. If we get that scenario, then we could have some longs on. We could start looking at swing longs, provided that the move holds, and we could have a very nice bullish trend day. Now, the bear trend scenario was we are at the low of the day when the market has a bearish divergence and we have a bear cross coming. And that's actually what's playing out right now. So at the moment, I don't know yet, but I do see that we could have the potential for a bearish trend day right now because we're right at the low of the day. We have a bearish cross. This is probably the best opportunity to have a bearish trend day. And we haven't really been able to get off the deck. There hasn't been this bounce as early like we saw yesterday. So we're going to wait and see what happens here. This could be a double bottom forming. And ideally, we'd like to see the market get above this long red candle and above VWAP. So that would give us some confidence to stick with longs. If we're unable to get that, this actually starts to produce. you would have to be cautious. So that is everything that we're looking over here. My market bias right now, I'd say a -1 right here. And in a range-bound day, I'm between a 1 and a -1 on the intraday chart. If it's something like this, right, I'm a 0. When we start to find some support at the bottom of the range, I'm slightly bullish. When we find resistance at the top of the range, I am slightly bearish. But that is it. That is, unless it starts to become a trend day, I really can't get more bullish or bearish. So what picks can we do? What can we see? What is really setting up nicely today? Let's start with the swing trading side. And we're not getting too crazy with the swing trades. If anything, you could do an overnight swing. And I have a couple of stocks that I was tagging for some overnight swings here. So the first one that I liked was Abbott. I also need to add CVS in here because I saw that earlier. So what we're looking for a nice overnight swing is we got a fresh breakdown, right? We're not too overextended from the 8 EMA. A compression break would be ideal through technical resistance. So Abbott over here, nice breakdown post earnings, long red candle through the low of the day. We like that. Pulled back over here, and we're just digesting all of these gains. Sellers are panicking. We're not able to retrace past this, even the halfway point of this candle. We're really able to hold all of this. So this is pretty bearish. We're below VWAP, which I like. We're actually we're starting to gain some traction over here. So this is actually a pretty nice short setup at the moment. I gotta say, this is pretty attractive. We're at the low of the day here. We're trying to poke through. We got a bearish cross. Yeah, Abbott could be setting up very nicely, I think, for a day trading short right now. I am in UAL, which has been doing excellent. So I took UAL, and I'll outline my thought process here. I took UAL at 1020 after it tested the support. And this is why I like UAL here. Strong post-earnings candle. We are in a bullish range. So it sets up, I'm not crazy about it for a swing, but for a day trade, sets up pretty well. We have some room to the top of the range. It's not the cleanest range, as you can see. It breaks out a little bit, but this is a pretty decent idea of the structure of the trade. So I have about $1 over here, about a half ATR move. We have a big gap up above all the levels, strong, heavy volume. We pull back, test this level, pull back again, test this level, and now we're starting to gain some traction. And we're actually holding the gains and moving up higher while the market is trying to break out of this range. So I have a starter position on, and I'm not going to add here because I don't see any strength in the market yet, but it is performing well. So as long as it continues to perform, as long as my market bias doesn't change drastically, I'm going to stick with UAL. So I guess, I don't know. I would say that as my long pick of the day, but I already took it. I like to give a pick before it happened. I think that's a little bit more fair. But just know that was one of the trades that I was thinking. It's not my typical setup. I wanted to wait for the pullback, but I like the strength here. And my exit criteria was that if it was really able to hold VWAP, wasn't really able to inch higher, then I would get out of the trade. But I think with any sort of market cycle up, we should see a nice move up in UAL. And these post-earning stocks really tend to have a mind of their own. They have so much volume and so much, gravitational escape velocity from the market that I feel a lot more confident in a stock like this holding its own when the market is going down. So I'm not going to give that as a pick, but just as an FYI. So let's look at some stuff on the short side here. MAR is one that I liked a lot. I was looking for stocks that are breaking down, kind of a nice reversal on the D1 chart. And so what I did was stocks that had some sort of HA continuation D1, and they were below their 50 SMA. So I like to have a stock below its 50 SMA as an HA reversal. It kind of helps me avoid top picking. MAR is really nice. Doesn't have, the risk reward isn't as great as it was earlier in the day, and this is a really nice move. It's a decently steady grinder. I just wanted to see a little bit more of a pullback, in my opinion. I'm not as comfortable trading this stock, but you can see it pulls back to the 8 EMA, goes lower, pulls back, goes lower. So I don't think I'd buy now. You'd probably wait for another pullback to the 8 EMA, but that has been a great short. ARM, parabolic move over here, inching down lower, inching down lower. This is pretty nice. I'd also probably wait for an LRSI cross, which I've set an alert for. Crocs, I think, could be a great overnight swing short. Today, we broke through the 50 SMA yesterday. We held the gains today, and we're making a new low of the day. And we have plenty of room to this level. So Crocs is one that I am liking a lot. I also love this very steady price action on the way down, and it started to reverse on April 1st. When did the market start to reverse? I guess you could say April 1st, but it has been a lot steadier move on the way down. Very steady price action. So that's why I like Crocs. Crisp is one that is really nice price action wise. I believe it's biotech, so you have to keep an eye out for any sort of news. Be doubly sure about this. Decent option liquidity, so you could do it overnight. CDS. GSK is a pretty nice one. A little bit choppier. Another healthcare stock. Is this biotech? Yeah, a lot of healthcare stocks have been quite weak. CVS is also one that we had called out earlier. So nice selling here. We got this gap up and it was smacked down pretty hard. And now we're challenging this low from a few days ago. Looks like we're through that level. We came back for the retest and we got a smackdown. And we are right over here. So we're kind of testing that level. So I think if I had to give a pick, here's what I want to see. If we actually are able to break out of this range, so it looks like we're trying to break out here. We're close to that 500 level support. Let's see what happens. I think for me to take a swing short, this is what I'd have to see. I'd want to see us break through 500. And if we break through 500, I would take Crocs as a overnight swing short. So let's see how that sets up on Crocs. You have some room until 113. So I mean, I'd probably do something like the 120, 115 CDS. PDS. Let's see how that goes. Okay, so let's do 120, 115. Yeah, you can get a pretty nice debit on that. $180 debit. So that's a pretty good PDS. You can go even wider if you want, but I like this move quite a bit. 115. It has an ATR about $4, so well within the ATR of the stock. Again, we have to see the market break through that psychological resistance, but that would be my pick. So let me add that to our day trading picks. Crocs, 120, 115, PDS, 4, 190. So we have to be careful. There's a lot of support coming in the way. We don't want to get too ahead of itself. Let's look at the long side here. So what happens if, let's say we get a hard bounce, like we get a strong bullish reversal off of 500. What are the stocks we would like to see then? So in this case, if we get that strong reversal, I feel pretty good about Coupang. Coupang right now, look at Coupang right now, by the way. Excellent relative strength. While the market is tanking, higher low, buyers are stepping in over here. And I would not be surprised to see it break through this high. That's what I'd expect Coupang to do. Break through this level on any sort of market reversal. So we're watching the market here. We got this red candle. This could be triggering some sell stops. We've got a lot of bids at this level, right? A lot of people placing sell stops at this point. So we have to see if we get sucked back in this range. Given the low volume, that is my expectation. but I'm going to be prepared on the downside. I also know on the downside, again, we're close to 500, so downside isn't as attractive as the long side in terms of a risk reward. So what are some nice, relatively strong stocks? Well, CVE was excellent early in the day, and now it's giving back some of the gains. You can see that we had a green candle here above the 8 EMA, was forming a nice bullish flag off some great price action. Energy has been strong. BTU was also a pretty decent one. It was trying to get above its SMAs, but couldn't quite do it. So let's find some very strong stocks right now. Let's see which has relative strength above the prior day high. FNGD, don't love that one as much. GL, we don't want to trade GL. That has been absolutely beaten down. I'm not going to touch that one. AAP, not really the best. You can see some strong price action, some strong selling here. Not crazy about it. I'm going to go to some of my custom searches. So I have a CDS search. There's AAP. There's pins. Nope, not crazy about those. In the money calls, there's fine strong D1 stocks. Now, I'm actually going to sort from which stocks are at the top of their range. Not a lot of stocks are at the top of their range here. So we're going to take a quick look. A lot of these have been weaker. Wells Fargo, banks. That's a long compression there. Cigna. Google was one that I liked. But it looks like he's been giving up some of the gains on this move down. So, not as crazy about Google. Let's look at strong D1s. And yeah, not a lot of strong D1s at the top of the range. Really, it's just Coupang and CVE, which are two stocks that I already called. So there's not a lot of stocks on our heavy buy list. We have UAL. BTU, Shop has been pretty weak. This is the only stock that is, yeah, I mean, like no stocks are even above their VWAP here. So we are in a great pick in UAL. I gotta say, pretty happy with that UAL pick. If I can't find anything better, then that would be my long pick of the day. M15 gain, maybe. Wendy, what's going on with Wendy? Huh, not bad. So one thing I realized is that if my criteria is too tight, I'm going to loosen it a little bit. So what I'm going to do is change this up. So this just looks for CDS stocks. So what I want to find is some stocks with good volume. I'm going to take off the RVOL, and I'm going to see some stocks that have relative strength and above VWAP. So that's kind of what I'm more keen on. And now we see a couple more stronger stocks. So let's take a quick look through these. Nothing really pops out, then I'm going to go here. But they may not quite have the volume today. Okay, and actually for the minimum criteria, let's put this on first and see if anything... not a ton over here. But we know at least these are going to be better picks. EXCL. EXCL's not too bad. Miniso. I like Miniso. Just like saying that name. Not crazy about that. We already knew UAL. There's Wendy's. Here's WPM. WPM precious materials. Not too bad. Not a terrible looking chart. Grabbing up here. Decent pullback. Holding VWAP over here. Don't love this move down. Yeah, I mean, I gotta go with UAL here as my pick. So if the market starts to shoot back in the range, UAL would set up as a nice day trading long. It's been holding the gains very nicely. Strong post-earnings move, grinding up higher. And you have some room until 47.50, 47.70. So I like UAL. I like it quite a bit. That'll be my other pick. UAL, day trade long, if the market is range bound. So we're going to take a look at those two picks tomorrow, and we'll see how they did. Thanks everyone for listening, and I'll catch you on the next video.